Hello and welcome to another War Thunder tips and tactics video. This video is going to cover a defensive maneuver known as the scissors. Now here, an enemy aircraft is swooped down from the clouds and is on my 6. I roll over and do a reverse implement just to get my aircraft heading back towards friendly players. It's a lag on my tail and I'm not going to be able to outturn them, so instead I'm going to use the scissors. The whole premise behind the maneuver is to weave back and forth in front of your enemy, bleeding speed, trying to get him to overshoot your aircraft, allowing you to then get on his tail. Now it is somewhat of a risky maneuver because with each turn you do run the risk of placing yourself directly in the enemy's crosshair, which you saw I did take a little bit of damage. But the advantage is I'm only in his crosshair for a split second. Not only that, but it's also difficult for them to align their crosshair on you as they're weaving back and forth. Now when using this maneuver you want to reverse your turn when they reverse theirs. So you can see I'm looking behind me, and as soon as he tries to turn his aircraft back onto mine, I'm turning back the other way. I'm also gaining altitude, trying to get his aircraft below mine. That's going to cause him to pick up speed as I bleed off more. And now I've gotten myself onto his 6. Now that I'm here, I'm going to keep my aircraft slow, let him gain a little bit of speed and distance from me. That way I'll keep myself from getting countered by the same maneuver. So now I've got enough distance between our aircraft to counter each of his maneuvers. If he tries to break either way, I can easily get my nose out in front and pepper his aircraft with rounds. Alright, so now that this guy's all but dead, let's go back and talk about the maneuver. There are two types of scissor, flat and rolling. A flat scissor is what you saw me doing the majority of the time there, where you use a series of banking turns to weave back and forth in front of your enemy. Now a rolling scissor, instead of using the banking turns, you'll use barrel rolls to reverse your direction. You can actually see me use a barrel roll a few times during this engagement. So when do you use one or the other? Well, it's really a situational type maneuver, and it depends a lot on what the enemy pilot's doing. For instance, if I find an enemy on my 6 and our speeds and distance are relatively close, I'll generally use a flat scissor. I find that in these situations, the enemy pilot is generally more concentrated on shooting you than actually flying his own plane. And by the time he realizes he may overshoot, it's already too late. Now if an enemy plane is further off my tail, it's going to be easy for him to train his guns on me. So in this situation I'll generally use a rolling scissor. I find that in these situations you're more likely to confuse your enemy and make it harder for him to train his guns on you. Overall, I think the most important thing is not to be predictable. If you find that your enemy is starting to stay with you, vary it up. If you're in a flat scissor, try going into a rolling. If you're in a rolling, try and change it up and go into a flat. Confuse your enemy as much as possible. So the best time to utilize this tactic is when you find yourself in a situation where you can't outrun or outturn your opponent. Well, that about does it for this episode of Tips and Tactics. Be sure to leave a like and a comment below. Also subscribe to my channel for more War Thunder as well as other content. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.